All right, now that our app is created, we can go ahead and turn that on. Um, so that way all changes that we're making are held within that application container. It creates its own little update set again for moving between. So the way that you make changes just to your scoped application, again, that we previously created, is grab that little globe icon towards the top right and change application scope from global. And if you want to type in your app name, mine was RESTful app, so that's what I'm going to select. And you'll see that it kind of refreshes, and now we got this red-orange circle around us, letting us know that we're scoped to our app and that everything that we're changing is getting tracked and added to this update set for us. So that way we don't have to worry about adding every little thing that we do there. All right, let's bump back into App Engine Studio, and let's create our first catalog item as part of this new app. All right, jumping into our RESTful app that we created, and then it's going to be under Experience, interfaces that users can interact with. There's lots here. We're going to choose Standard Catalog Item, and you've got that common request catalog look and feel right there. Select Begin, and we need to name our app. So again, I'm just going to keep this simple, and my use case is to unblock a user's access. So I'm just going to call it Unblock Request. And then for the description, I'm going to give it a short description and say unblock your electronic health record access. Hypothetically speaking, that would be an excellent use case for this particular workflow. Alright, catalog item has been added. We can click done and go select it again, or we can just click edit catalog item here. And App Engine Studio is going to walk us through all the necessary steps to get this thing up and running. Starting with details, I'm not going to make any changes. I don't necessarily want to attach a file for the image, and I don't think it needs any further description, so I'm going to move on to location. I am going to make this available in the service catalog for quick finding later when I'm ready to test. I'm going to put it underneath services because I know by default that is available in the service catalog. I won't have to make any more changes for that. And I'm just going to tag it as IT. Moving on to the questions. There's two questions that we need to make. The first one is going to be a reference question. So we're going to select choice as the question type, and then record reference. And then moving down to the question, we're going to say, who is the individual who needs air access unblocked? Question mark. ServiceNow defaults in a label for this question. That's too long for my liking, so I'm just going to change it to unblock user, and I'm going to mark it as mandatory. Over on the right hand side, you can get a quick preview of what that question will look like. That looks good to me. Move on to additional details, and remember in the first section we made that a reference, and we're going to say it's a record reference. So what that is that gives you the ability to look up a record from a table inside of ServiceNow. I'm going to be referencing the user table inside of ServiceNow. It's not uncommon for organizations to pre-populate user record table from their IDM solution and populate it with username, name, email address, probably department location, job title, manager, things like that. So when we refer to and reference the user record, then we have the ability to draw from all the data that's inside of the user record and pull that into our workflow for our purposes and our use case, my application needs to know the user's name. So when I reference the user record in ServiceNow, I'll have the ability to pull in that user ID and pass that to my downstream application. So if you just search for user, it may take it a second here to find it. There's thousands of tables in ServiceNow, but it'll find it. We just need to be patient. Alright, as mentioned, we do want that to be sysuser, so searching on user seemed to be taking forever, so I changed it to sys_user and scroll down a little bit and it's right there. Best practice would be that you filter on a condition to limit the amount of records that are returned. Depending on the size of your organization, this could be 100,000 users that get returned. So if we select maybe just active is true, that'll help. And plus, we don't really want users who are not active to be unblocked and have access to our electronic health record. So I'm not going to do anything with anything else. No default, no auto-populate, no annotation. Just select insert question. And then as mentioned, we do want 2 questions on here. So select insert question again. This is going to be an option question, and the subtype is going to be checkbox. So part of our use case requirements is that a user must complete training before they can have access to the EHR. So we're just going to label this question and say, please confirm that all training has been completed. And then we'll just call the field training a test. Again, it's mandatory. So over there on the right hand side again, we get that question preview. Looks good. Insert. Excellent. I'm going to select preview to see what these 2 questions look like now that we've got them built. Looking beautiful. A couple things I'm noticing. One, we've got quantity. That doesn't really make sense for our use case. We're going to be specifying a user, and we don't want 2 and 3 tickets for the same user being submitted. And then delivery time 2 days. That doesn't really make sense either because this is going to be done automatically. So we can remove those things. So if you jump out of the preview and bump down to settings, we can hide hide delivery time, hide quantity selector. And now that I'm looking at these options, we don't really need an attachment button either. And I don't care if they get added to cart, and I don't care if they get added to wish list. So access is, this section is where you can say, where you can limit who this is available to. So maybe there's only a certain population of users that you want this to be available to, such as like maybe a training team. Maybe they would be the only ones that would be able to go in and confirm that a user's proficient, or maybe a training team plus managers. You can also specify who it's not available for. We're not going to do any of that because our use case doesn't demand it. But those options are definitely there, and this would work for you. As far as fulfillment goes, we will come back to this later after we get our flow built out. For now, we're just going to save and close this section out.